Hello, happy Thursday from the Last Stand podcast. This is William Clark. This is number 6 in the series that I've been putting out on YouTube. And today's going to be a little shorter one because I'm going to finish up the Redemption in Time series books. And the last book in that 3-book series is Noble Shadows. Yeah, see, there I am right there, smoking the pipe. I don't smoke, but it looks like I do, and it gives me a look. Anyway. This one is called Noble Shadows. And it's the last one, like I said, in the series of Redemption in Time. And it follows the time travel theme, the Stonegate device theme of them going back in time and trying to change things. In this particular volume, powerful men in the government currently who have access to this technology definitely want to go back and change history. Consequences be damned, which is a theme that you'll find out in most of my novels, is that there is a hubris within men of power that are going to use that power and possibly to the detriment of everybody else involved. This theme is followed in Noble Shadows. Again, where does the inspiration come from this? Life experience, having worked in the federal service for some time, having been in law enforcement, having been in the military, private contracting overseas with the government. I can tell you that about half the time, decisions that are made by powerful men have a detrimental effect on the rest of us. Wars, police actions, another stupid term. Actions have consequences. I do believe that there is a divine order controlling all life. I believe in God. I believe in Christ. But I also believe in that pesky thing called free will that we were given. All men were given, which is probably the reason there is so much deprivation, hate, war, and really bad things happening in the world. It's because of man's free will. I think God's got very little to do with all that. I think he's given us a great gift of free will and said, you know what, go out and do good things. And men of power, or women of power, more often than not, don't. And then we all suffer. It's kind of the nature of things. Goes back a long ways. Cain decided to pick up a rock and bash his brother's head in. That's probably the start of it. Ever since then, there's been wars and conflict and righteous men doing what they think is righteous at the expense of others. That's pretty much the theme of a lot of my books. I discuss that. And I explore that avenue because I want to know how I feel about it inside, without the mask that we all hide behind, that I hide behind. I'm getting to an age now where no more BS with myself and other people. I don't have time. I'm 72. Clock is ticking. Tick, 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 tick. It's slipping through my fingers. I don't need to impress anybody anymore. I don't need to put on a false facade for anybody anymore to get something. I've got everything I want. I have a beautiful wife. I live comfortably. I got a roof over my head. I got food in my refrigerator. I got my health still. Kind of. Knees hurt in the morning. But what I have that's most valuable, in my opinion, is I have the ability for introspection. That comes with age, comes with wisdom. And no, I do not have all the answers. I have a lot of the answers for me, but as far as you're concerned, that's your journey. You've got to walk it. You've got to run it. You've got to be out there for yourself. And you've got to have the courage to really look inside and say, who am I and how do I aviate and navigate and communicate in this world that I am now in, this reality? Age brings that kind of introspection with it. Now, if it doesn't, you just become a pathetic old person who shouts at people for being on your yard. You get my drift. You got to grow. You got to become a better person. You got to become a smarter person. And you got to have the will to want to do that. Will. That's where it comes. Free will. I can decide that I'm going to be miserable. I can decide that I'm going to go grab a bottle of whatever and put my life into that bottle. Or I can go grab a drug and medicate myself to where I don't have to think about my problems. You're not really solving your problems. You're just adding to them. But in Noble Shadows, powerful men decide they're going to change the past. They're going to go back to pre-World War II, and they're going to have somebody assassinate Adolf Hitler. I know it's a common theme. A lot of people talk about it. There have been books written about it. I wrote a book about it. Mine's pretty good because it's been researched thoroughly with a thought and a coloring towards personal introspection. Realizing that actions taken by powerful men have consequences for us all. Look at the war, for example, World War II. My God, the human devastation, the lives changed, the history that was changed. Staggering when you think about it, that just one person can have that effect on so many people, which relates to your life. You have an effect on people you don't even know. They see you during the day. You interact. They are perceiving an attitude, one of compliance, friendliness, anger. It's a lot. You put out a lot, and you affect a lot of people, more than you think. I want to encourage you, and I do this on every video. You've got to start thinking about who you are, and then start writing stories, putting your own inflections and your own feelings and your own motivations into characters. Create written history. Because, folks, history is being rewritten every day. And by a lot of men or a lot of women who don't have the collective best interests at heart. It's called revisionist history. Civil War is a classic example. I don't have any dog in that fight, other than the fact that, like I said before, most of my relatives who were involved in that conflict fought for both sides, sometimes twice in the same day. Opportunists, if you were. But the point is, there were serious-minded men, not driven by oppression, who fought for the Confederacy. They were believing rhetoric or information that was put out by other powerful men about what their conflict was about. And they believed it. And they found themselves in that line with that rifle going against the guns. They had families. They had aspirations. They had dreams. They were men just like me, just like you, who wanted something better, who honestly believed that their way of life, aside from oppression of other people, other colors, was being threatened. And they were willing to die for that way of life. Now, it's an absolute fact that many people in the South during that time of slavery did not own slaves. again, that's a whole subject. So the predominance of people who were fighting on the line, who were in that peach orchard on that charge of Pickett's Charge, or at Gettysburg, or at Antietam, or Bull Run, were not slave owners. They were men who believed rhetoric from other powerful men, and they ran into the guns. So what I'm saying, basically, and this is going to be a shorter video, is that actions have consequences. People with power will use power. And the more power they have, there is more of a tendency towards corruption. So how does that apply to you as the writer, as a human being? You have to be cognizant of that. You have to recognize it in yourself. Have the courage to look inside. How can I be a better person? How can I be more honest? Being honest with people, even if it's not to your benefit. Because, as a human being, working in this reality, living this reality, we are lied to every day. All the time. Take this pill, you'll get thinner. Take this course, you'll make $1 million. Buy my product, it'll make you more attractive. Wrong. Doesn't do any of those things. Or if it does, to such a degree that it doesn't even matter. So like I said, this is going to be a shorter one today. I want to wrap up this series of the Redemption in Time series, Noble Shadows. Great story, but if you look past the story like I have, it's more of a definition of basic human nature. Powerful men and women who have power will use power. And a lot of times, not to yours and my benefit. So the strength we get comes from that divine power and knowing how to use our free will for a better purpose. There was a famous despot in Africa, in Uganda, called Idi Amin years ago. Bloodthirsty dictator, terrible guy. He was once asked by a Reuters reporter, how do men like him keep power when so many in his country suffer? He had a very simple but profound statement. He says, those with the guns make the power. It's true. Force. Bad force. Evil force. Again, free will. And I believe men with the guns in this United States who have good intentions keep that bad power at bay. I'm not going to get into a big old deal about the Second Amendment. I'm a gun guy. You all know that. But I'm also responsible for what I have. I'm also responsible for the power that I have on my wall, that I carry on my person. I choose through my free will to obey the laws of this country, to obey the laws of civility and basic human rights as a firearm owner. Again, this is not a two-way discussion. We're talking about writing books and putting your true emotions, both negative and positive, into your characters. And this is what I wanted to get across to you today. I want to thank you so much, from a complete novice at doing this, for your support and putting your thumbs up on me and subscribing. It is such a wonderful experience. I've gotten hooked on podcasts. I like doing them. And I want you to know I'm going to continue them. I have 14 books. I'm going to spend a lot of time with you guys. Again, thank you. Thank you for watching it. And again, the 3-book series, Redemption in Time, Coloma Woods, and now Noble Shadows. Great stories. Heavily researched. I wanted to emphasize that also, guys, real quick, before I close here. I spent an exorbitant amount of time researching this material in these books for these characters. Times and events. In that really fancy word, verisimilitude, where I establish time and place. It's very important. I don't want to cheat the reader. Hopefully the reader enjoys the story and also learns something from it at the time. Like I learn something from it every time I research this stuff. So again, thank you. I appreciate you more than you know. I like talking to you. Really enjoy it. Keeps me on my game. Keeps this 72-year-old mind kind of halfway sharp. It just makes me realize that I've got a long ways to go and that I'm really enjoying the journey. As I always say, if you can't be safe out there, you be sanitary. Clark out.